once you've exited the dashboard, you'll notice a couple of things on your screen over here. You've got your toolbar right here, which I have mine hidden. You can always click this little button right here and tell it to stay so that it doesn't hide when you move away from it. So you've got all of these different tools. You also have the trash can down here where you can drag things as you need to get rid of them off the page. So let's come back up to this toolbar right here and go ahead and start taking a look at some of these buttons. Up here at the top, like I said, this is your pin toolbar button. You can pin it so that it stays when you move away from it, or you can unpin it so that it hides and it pops up only when you go back to it. So I'm going to pin it for the time being while I'm looking at it. You can do whatever feels comfortable for you. This roll up button simply hides most of what's there, just so it takes up a little bit less space. You can always roll it back down. And your toolbox options let you decide where you want to dock this toolbar and whether you want to roll it up or in so that it hides that one sidebar. So you have a bunch of different options available to you when you are working with this toolbar right here. This right here is your Edit User Defined Buttons, and this is where you can add a computer program to your toolbar. If you want a little bit more information about that, you can go into the slideshow. I believe it's slide 14, and I do have a link to the website right there available to you. Of course, you've got your save button to save any changes you've made to an already existing flip chart. Clear annotations. You would use this, for example, if I wrote hello on here. Sorry, I'm doing this on my computer because I do not have a board with me right this minute. But I'm going to click this clear annotations, and all handwritten stuff disappears off the page right there. Got my Save As button. This is what you would use, of course, to save a new flip chart. As you saw right here, the pin modifiers popped up. That gives me some different line options. If I wanted to draw a curve instead of having to actually draw it, I would click and drag to wherever I want it to be, and it's going to automatically draw that curve for me right there. And I go back and I just clicked clear annotations to get rid of that. This red button right here is to exit out of the program. Right here you have your copy button. This is your settings. And when you open settings, this gives you several different options for example, your clock tool. You can decide what kind of clock you want it to be. You can set your effects settings. You can set your design mode settings, recordings if you're doing screen captures. Whatever you want to do, you can set your change your settings from here. This button right here, as you can see right now, I cannot click on it, but if I were to draw a couple of different shapes on here, so say I've just got those shapes right there, and when I move them for now, they're moving independently of one another, but if I click and drag to highlight them, I can now click this button right here to group them together. Now when I move one, the other is going to move with it. So I can group, I can also click it and tell it to ungroup so that I can move them independently, again, as needed. This button right here is what you would use to insert links to websites. Down here you have this lock button. That's going to lock things into place so that when you're working with students in the classroom, they do not have the capability of moving things around. So for example, say I want to lock this into place, I would just select it and click lock. And as you see, it can't be moved right now. Right here you have your paste button, your delete button. You see that cleared everything off the page. And this button right here is your mode button. When it's blue, you are in design or editing mode. And when it's orange, you are in presentation mode. When you're in presentation mode, that's just going to get rid of some of the action capabilities or enable some action capabilities if you have them turned on. Presentation mode is generally what you would use in class. Alright, now over here on this left side of the toolbar, we'll go over these buttons. Right here you have your main menu, and this is just where you're going to find your file, edit, view, insert, that sort of thing. You can't see it on my computer right now, but I do have it up here at the top. So you should have it at the top or available right there. Here you can switch profiles, and profiles just show different buttons. So right now I'm on the authoring profile. If I click at the board, it's going to take just a second to think, and as you can see, some of the tools changed a little bit. And you can set different tools for different topics. For example, this one is the language, and it added the handwriting recognition and the ticker tape and the spell check, that sort of thing. So you can switch between these as needed. If you click the mathematics, it's going to have some more of the math tools available down here. And again, you can change all of that at any time as needed. Right here you have your desktop annotations, which allows you to write over the desktop. So I'm going to click that, and as you can see right here, it jumped to my desktop. I can take my pen, and that's me right there, in case you didn't know. So you can annotate over your desktop, circle, you can highlight, you can add shapes, whatever you need to do. Also erase as needed. And when you're done, you can just click this button right here, and it hops right back. Now this button gives you your desktop tools. As you can see, it appeared right here in the middle. I can drag that to wherever I need it to be, and that gives me direct links to the Promethean planet, gives me the option to return to the flip chart. The express pull, which is only available if you have extra Promethean accessories, which we do not have available. You've got a couple of different options for recording the screen. You can use your microphone, your calculator, dice, clock, ticker tape. You can take screenshots of different areas on the screen. And you can also pull up an on-screen keyboard, which for some reason is not pulling up on mine right now, but it should just automatically pull up. And then you click that button and go right back into your flip chart. So I'm going to click my select just so that I have my arrow again. That allows me to hit all of my buttons. So you can add pages as needed. You see up here it says page 1 of 1. So I can add more pages and move through them as needed. These two buttons right here are only available again if you have extra Promethean accessories like the Activote, which we do not have. So you wouldn't be able to use either of these two options for the time being. Alright, below these buttons you have all of these color blocks. This is the ink colors that you can choose from. So when you are writing with the pen right here, you can write in whatever color you want to as needed. So you can change colors as needed, whether you want to write in different colors, underline things in different colors, whatever you need to do. You can also change your pen size. So to change the thickness with these buttons right here or with this button right here. So you see I dragged it all the way to the right and now I have this huge blob right here. Or I can drag it all the way down to 0 and it's just a tiny little line. So you can make those lines whatever size you need to, either by dragging or by selecting right here. If you click this mouse pointer right here, that's your selector. You can click and move things as needed. As you can see, these two are grouped together. Sometimes it'll automatically group things together itself. And you can just select them and go back and tell it to ungroup, and I can move them individually again. You also have a highlighter option. So I'm going to click my highlighter, say I want yellow, and as you can see I just drag it over whatever I want to highlight, and you can highlight as needed. This would be great especially for your desktop annotations to highlight over websites or whatever you need to highlight over. You can erase. Right here you can change the size of your eraser as needed, and as you see it's going to erase in layers as I go over. I can make my eraser larger and erase whatever I need to do right there. If you click this button, this is more tools. That just gives you some extra tools that are not listed on your toolbar right there. So you can go down and select all of your extra tools as needed. Alright, so if you come back over here, you have options to add shapes. You can add lines if you want to. You can change the colors of things as needed. So I'm just going to choose a square and draw a square right here. Add a circle and triangle. Now I'm going to fill these as I need to. So I click this fill bucket and it's going to fill it with whatever color I have selected up here. So I want a pink circle. I just select the pink and I come over here where I see the bucket and I click one time, and as you see it filled it up. I'm going to make the square orange and the triangle I'm going to make blue. And how about a yellow background? So you can fill anything, any shape, any box as needed, depending on what you are doing for your class. You have connectors right here. So say I want my elbow connector. You see how I hover over the edge of this and it is selecting that. I'm just going to drag it down to connect with this one, and then I'm going to move this one and connect it with that one. Then I'm going to go back and move my selector, and oops, that should move the whole thing. Let me go ahead and group this circle together with its filler. And now when I move it, as you can see, it's automatically changing this connector as needed. So I'm going to make sure my square and its fill are connected, and I'm going to move it. So these connectors just move as you move things on the screen that they are connected to. Right here you can insert media, that would be pictures or videos from a file. You can also, instead of handwriting things on the screen, you can add a text box right here. You can drag it to be whatever size you need to. You can double click in it. You can change the font size. You can change the font style if you need to. You can do your bold, italic, centering, whatever you need to do with your text boxes. And your pointer, as you can see, it's still set for a text box, so anywhere I click, I'm going to be able to type until I get rid of this pointer. I can move back over here and select anything. I'm just going to click my selector so I can move things again as needed. Down here you have your clear options. You can clear your annotations. You can clear objects. So you see I clicked clear objects and it cleared everything off the screen except for my background. I can clear the background. You can clear the entire page at one time. If you have a grid, which I'll show you in a little bit, you can also clear the grid. This button also does the same thing to reset the entire page back to whatever it was at your last save point. And down here at the very bottom you have your undo and redo buttons, just like most other programs.